Okay, April 17th, 2011, approximately 6 p.m. Sunday. In another update video on our 99 Ford Escort ZX2 project. I located the vehicle, a 98 Ford Escort ZX2 Sport. Purchased it off of Craigslist out of Mulberry, Arkansas, $200. We've done a little bit of front end work to get some crap out of the way so we can get to the engine and check everything out. Had to pull the radiator, the AC components. The front bumper was all in the way. We had to check out the manifolds, the sensors, and everything on the engine. And we're in the process now of trying to get it to run. We've come across a few problems. The fuel tank was so badly damaged underneath that it had a leak, a pea-sized hole, which I have patched. But the gas tank was so concave from the impact, pushed up, indented so much that it was basically contacting the fuel pump and wasn't. I was going to have to pretty much fill the entire tank before it would ever be able to pump it. So we decided to remove the fuel pump from the tank, which was about an hour's job because of the damage to the body inside, and we got the fuel pump out. The problem is when we put our little jerry rigging assembly in there, which is basically a collection pan for draining oil and whatnot, setting the fuel pump in there and running the electrical and fuel lines. As soon as we started doing that, we discovered fuel leaks. As soon as we turned on the key and started to try to prime the fuel rail, it just started pumping fuel all out on the ground. So about 2 hours later, or an hour and a half later, we've hopefully bypassed the fuel lines, cut the fuel lines underneath the vehicle, spliced some fuel lines in that took off of an old riding lawnmower that I've got on the property. A few pieces of fuel line there, anything we could find to lengthen it enough to come from underneath the vehicle, up and around, and into our makeshift fuel system here, just to see if it's going to run. So we're in the process of getting ready now. He's got to reconnect the fuel line to the fuel filter, and with any luck we'll be able to prime the fuel rail this time and see something happen. So you ready to prime it? Yeah. Okay. I'm going to let you prime it a few times, and then I'll see if we're getting anything out of the Schrader valve. Go ahead and prime it. Let's see if we're getting anything. We're getting air. We're getting some air. Okay, we're getting fuel. Huh? We're still getting some air, but we're finally getting fuel. Well, I'm gonna put more fuel in. Okay, well, I mean, this. Well, the lines were completely empty. What do they do with the gas? It's in the car still, isn't it? No, it's on the back of the truck. Okay. So we've got fuel going to the rail now. We inadvertently cut another line, which I'm only going to assume at this point is probably a return, or maybe a part of the emissions system that appeared to also run to the back of the fuel tank. This is true redneckery in order to get a piece of shit like this to run, hopefully. So let's see if it's gonna do anything. Give it one more prime and then crank it over for real. Alright, let her go.
Okay, now let's put pressure on the pump.
Okay, go ahead. Hey, look at that. It runs good. Losing our transmission fluid, but we found out the tranny was no good anyway. Hey, it sounds good. It's very quiet. The only light I see on is a check coolant. Of course, that's because we don't have a coolant system per se. Our redneck fuel line is running beautifully. Just a collection pan sitting on the floor pan there with a fuel pump assembly in it, humming away. No check engine light that I can see. Let me get out of the glare here. It seems to run smooth. Yeah, air system. Well, there you have it. Let it, how much more fuel's in the pan there? I want it to, let me see the tailpipe here if we're getting any. No, there's no smoke. It's running beautiful. Of course, it's only got like 120,000 miles on the engine. Go ahead and shut it off, Ron, because there's no coolant system. Huh?
Let it run for a minute, a little bit.
Well, I don't want to let it run too long, like no coolant. It sounds good. I mean, it's got a slight tapping in the valves, but I haven't seen very many ZX2s that don't. It's running. I mean, it's idling smoothly. Go ahead and shut it off. Okay, good. Well, there we go. We've got our 98 Ford Escort ZX2 Sport 2-liter Zyrtec engine in a wrecked car, and it took an entire afternoon essentially to jerry rig or redneck everything, but it works and it runs. So there's our update video. I was going to do a drive around video, but I discovered that the transmission has a hole, and maybe I could illustrate that down here, maybe. Okay, I don't know if you could see this. Let's see here. Right. Well, right there. There's a hole in the transmission, apparently caused by the accident. When we started it up, it was losing oil out of the transmission. I might, maybe once I get this whole unit out of here, try to patch that. I don't know, but it's got a hole in the transmission. So my idea of putting this whole transmission and engine and everything as an entire unit, well, doesn't look like that's going to happen, but I've got a good running 2-liter. So that's where we're at. Thank you for watching. Comments welcome.